know. I think they want. No, I went and I was one of the first. What did they used to call us? I was a leader for the group. This group of girls.
Okay.
There were 10 girls, I think, something like that. They were my platoon.
Oh.
And I had them to take care of. I was with several groups of girls, you know.
Okay.
They were in my platoon, and then of course I went to do this. The major took over this job, and he allocated me to be his runner.
Okay.
And so I worked with him for probably for 2 years when they were getting the vehicles ready to go over to Germany.
Okay.
Because if they had gone over like they would have bogged out in the water and they wouldn't have been able to have gone. But we had to I forget what they called it now. Anyway, we had to make them waterproof.
Okay.
So that they could go and fight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we'd done that, then my days in the army were over.
Okay, all right, I'll turn it over to Sam here, okay?
When did you enlist in the Army?
Do you know, that's a long time ago. I'm in my early 90s now, I think. Or 80s, am I? I don't know. I've got a very poor memory. When did I enlist in the army? I would say probably, well, it was during the war, when we were fighting with Germany. Right after the Second World War, I think it was.
Was it during the Second World War?
During the second?
Second World War. Yeah, and I don't, what year was that, do you know?
1941 is when it was.
Well, that's about when it was then. 41. So, but I was there for nearly 2 years, I think. I was there 3 years altogether. But once I'd done what I had to do, then I was able to, once the vehicles were waterproof, they were on their way to Germany, that was my responsibility. And I got it taken care of. And then I left and they just put me in everyday stuff, you know.
And you're in the British Army, right?
British Army, yeah. I was sergeant. I was a sergeant. They made me a sergeant major. I forgot where all that stuff is. I had it somewhere, but it's, you know how it is.
Judy might know.
It's years gone. Yeah. So.
What types of things did you do in the British Army?
Well, they had these vehicles, all the vehicles, and all the vehicles had on the floor, now what they used to call it, their vehicles would gather water. They went from England, which was a dry area for them. Then they went to a wet country, which was Germany. So they had to have this water taken from these vehicles and put into another area so they wouldn't flop out, you know, wouldn't be disturbed. So what we did was we got all these vehicles from that were going to go on the ground and travel on the ground. We had to make them all waterproof. So that's what my job was, to take the I can't remember very well, that was a long time ago. But what they did was they made, instead of them being waterproof, they weren't waterproof, they had to make them waterproof. And my job was to make sure they were all made waterproof. And that was the army, the British Army. It wasn't just one or two vehicles, it was the whole lot of them. And I got them all working from England to work in with they would be able to use what they had to use. There was no, instead of the organisation being on the floor that lifted them up, it was lifted up to the top of the vehicle, so it didn't just stop when they started to go. And that's what we did. I did.
Do you remember why you enlisted in the British Army?
Why? Do you know, I can remember going. I can see us now all. I think originally it was because I enjoyed that they wanted me to go and be in charge of a platoon of girls, young girls they were, and they asked me to go and be in charge of them. So that's what I did. I went to be in charge of this platoon of girls to get them climatized to army days, you know. And in fact, I kept them there. They were there I had them for 2 years, even after my other position was finished. They still were there. I remember sitting down in a little circle on the ground with them and talking to them and having fun with them, you know. And plus we discussed business too. Yeah. Didn't I have a picture of it somewhere? I don't know.
I don't know. Judy might.
She might know.
Yeah.
She probably knows more than I do.
What was your opinion about the U.S. dropping the atomic bomb on Hiroshima at the time?
Do you know, I have no remembrance of that. I mean, it must have been a big thing, but my mind, don't forget that I don't have a good mind anymore. I've lost it. I thought it was Hiroshima. I've even forgotten what the consequences were of this, you know. So I'm not very helpful to you, I'm sorry. Time takes its toll. Right?
Time takes its toll, Laura. You're right.
Yeah, it takes your knowledge away. And in a way it's good that it does. And to a certain extent, because there's some things you don't want to remember. Yeah. Have you seen Judy at all? This time?
I haven't seen her today, no.
No. I don't know. Well, is the girl, what stage is her job in? Do you know? She takes care of all these